What's going on, guys? It's Brendan Dzwierzynski here with you live from a rainy United Center in the city of Broad Shoulders. That is Chicago, Illinois, my hometown. Talking a little KU versus Providence in the Sweet 16 coming up tomorrow right here from the house that Michael Jordan built, the United Center. Just got done doing press conferences, write-ups, and all of that from the UC today. You can go follow all of the coverage, quotes, and whatnot from today's press conferences and full audio as well at our website, WIBWNewsNow.com. Now, this is a matchup where KU is fairly heavily favored by the advanced metrics, places like KenPom, places like ESPN's Basketball Power Index, all in on Kansas in this one. The point spread of the 8 games in the Sweet 16, it is the third biggest point spread of anyone. KU is favored by 7.5 points as of now. Have seen it in some places as high as 8 points for this game against Providence. Now, the only ones bigger, Gonzaga, understandably, over Arkansas. That's at 10 points. And then also, understandably, Purdue over 15 seed St. Peter. So KU, pretty heavy favorite in this one over Providence. And this is a Providence team that over the course of the season has really just had the theme of luck riding on their shoulders. They've also had a chip on their shoulders because they keep getting told over and over they're just a lucky team. They're all just getting wins because of circumstance, things like that. They get a lucky draw in the NCAA tournament, and to a degree, they did. They got to face a 13 seed in South Dakota State in the first round, then a 12 seed in the second round, and they walloped that 12 seed Richmond to the tune of 79-51. If you're into the KenPom numbers, the luckiest team in the country this season. But what we heard from Bill Self earlier today, he really rejected the notion that Providence has been lucky. And in his eyes, Providence doesn't win close games because they get lucky or fortunate because of several things. They do it because they have good coaching, because they have good players, because they have toughness. And that's really something that he tried to hammer home in this game today and what they're facing in their foes from Providence. Now, on the other side, for the Kansas Jayhawks, they are playing their best basketball of the year. And frankly, I think we're past a point where that's even an arguable point. I think KU is clearly playing their best basketball of the season. They've won 7 games in a row. They're back in the Sweet 16, which is a round in which KU has had a ton of success before. Bill Self in his coaching career is 10-3 in the Sweet 16. And at KU, how about a record of 8-2 in the Sweet 16? The Jayhawks have had plenty of success once they get to the regional semifinal round, and they're looking for even more of that coming up in this game against Providence as well. And something that was really emphasized by the KU players as well as head coach Bill Self in the media sessions earlier today. It was brought up by Christian Brown, mentioned by Ochai Agbaji as well, and then mentioned by Self himself, is that KU is trying to emphasize more on the defensive end, which we've known about over the balance of the season, but also trying to emphasize playing well enough and getting your opponents out of their rhythm, making them play poorly enough that KU doesn't have to make shots to win. That is something that Bill Self has emphasized really over the course of his career at KU in Lawrence, that he wants these teams to be defensive-minded. He wants them to play well on the defensive end. Well, KU is guarding as well as they have all season. And to Self, while the defense is playing well, they're playing better than they have all season up until this point, they're still not playing as well as they possibly could be playing, and that's something to keep an eye on in this matchup with Providence. Now, a couple of the matchups individually one-on-one to keep an eye on for this one, and these were both mentioned by Providence's big man, Nate Watson, during his media session earlier on today here in Chicago. It's in the post. That's going to involve Watson, obviously against KU's big man, David McCormick. McCormick, who wasn't great in the game against Creighton. In fact, I think to many people, it was a little surprising he didn't play better in the second round win over the Creighton Blue Jays. But that's going to be a big matchup. They're both Virginia guys. Watson said, though, he's never actually played against David McCormick. They grew up just about 20 minutes, less than half an hour apart from one another, but they never actually played prep basketball, AAU, whatever it might have been. So he's looking forward for that matchup. A couple of older guys. McCormick, obviously, a senior, and Watson as well for Providence, a fifth-year senior. The other matchup, though, that he wanted to keep an eye on, and I'm in full agreement with the Providence big man on this one, is Providence's Justin Minaya, who Watson called one of the best defensive players in the country, going up against Ochai Agbaji, a finalist for the Wooden Award for the best player in the country, an all-consensus, all-American, all the different 5 different places that choose who the consensus All-Americans are. They've got Agbaji on the list. He has been phenomenal all year, as we know, but his shooting touch has really not been there in the last couple of weeks at this point, and it especially wasn't in that win over Creighton when he went just 5 out of 14 from the floor. So Abaji's going to need to have a better game, and will need to continue to have good games as KU continues advancing through the tournament. But the matchup against Justin Minaya, who's one of the Big East's, at least, best defenders, is going to be a crucial one to watch in this game coming up tomorrow night. I will be here live for the game. It tips off at about 6:15 tomorrow night. Possibly we'll be bumped back a little bit later, closer to 6:30. You can follow along with coverage of the game, including updates and highlights on our 580 Sports Talk Twitter account. Simply enough, on Twitter, it is at 580 Sports Talk, and you can follow me personally and a little hotter takes, if you will, over on at Brendan DZW on Twitter as well. And of course, you can go check out both our KU and Providence previews over at the website, WIBWNewsNow.com. I will talk to you again coming up, win or lose for KU following the game against Providence on Friday night. But until then, I'm Brendan Dzwierzynski saying so long from the United Center in Chicago.